Mwah. Okay. Awkward. No, I can't even do it. Hey, hello, and how do you do? It's Shalise, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post new videos. It's been a minute. It's hard to be consistent. I blame it on quarantine. Nah, can't even do that. It's been a minute, and the consistency, yeah, ain't there. But if you are here, I appreciate you so much. I changed it to a shirt that I feel like is appropriate to today's video. I am stoked because your girl is 4 months pregnant. And so this video is just an update on how my first trimester went, how I'm feeling going into the second trimester, all of that wrapped in one. Let's go! Okay, so before we get started, can I just say, it's been a year and a few months since I cut all my hair off. If you have not seen that video, I cut it off into a low cut. And so I'm so proud. This is the first twist out I've had in a long time. Okay, let's get back on track. So like I said, this video will talk about my first trimester experience, actually starting during my window of waiting to see if I conceived or not. So we're going pretty far back today. I actually want to post a video that would talk about the ovulation kit I used and how I conceived and that story before I put out this video. But hey, I'm 4 months today. I want to do this first, and if you have questions about that journey for me, it will be some information in that video. But today we're actually going to start at 5 DPO, which is day past ovulation. So like I said, we used the ovulation kit, so I was able to track and know when my ovulation started. I was also using an app on my phone, so I know when my ovulation started and ended. And from there, the day after, I started looking at those days, counting those days. So 5 days past ovulation, I had lower ab pains on the right side. I was having chest pains already. It was so weird. 6 days past ovulation, I was still having chest pains, and I started to feel like I can smell things. Like my sense of smell had heightened at this point. Oh, like everything was so strong. Again, it annoyed me just by the smells. Also, I started to feel nauseous after I would eat foods. It was very slight at this time, but I noticed that even when I was eating food that I typically would enjoy, I was not feeling well. And then 7 days past ovulation was the time I actually took my first pregnancy test, and I got a negative. And I had a dream, and I don't know, I just asked God. He was like, literally, he was a judge. All I remember is, like, although I can't see his face or anything, I know it's him. And he hits this gavel and was like, go take a pregnancy test, it's positive. And so I took one that night, and it was negative. But I took one the next day. I was feeling really lightheaded again, nauseous, and took another test. I don't know what made me take another test that day instead of just waiting closer to the time I would have had my missed period. But I took a test that day, and it was a very faint line, super faint. Again, you can see this in the pregnancy video when I found out I'm pregnant. And then from there, I took another test the next day, got a positive, and so now I'm in the know that, okay, these changes are going to happen. But they started to hit me so fast. So at that point, I stopped keeping up by days and started to just look at different weeks when different things were happening that were just very unusual for me. And by week 5, I was no longer able to sleep very well throughout the night. Even to this day, I constantly wake up in the middle of the night feeling very uncomfortable or just very sick, and just different reasons would keep me up. So I haven't been getting the same amount of sleep I typically would. And then at week 6, I got an eye infection, and I'm the type that I never get sick. As far as health goes, generally I'm pretty healthy. And so I got this eye infection. I did all this research, and I found out that a lot of times when you're pregnant, your eyes can dry out and become very sensitive. I was really blind, y'all. Like, I even tried to still go to work that day, and I had to tell my supervisor, like I can't see. The light was becoming so extreme. I just couldn't open my eyes at that point. So he found some sunglasses for me, put on sunglasses, and I drove myself to urgent care. That urgent care was super full, so she sent me to one that was maybe 5 or 10 minutes away. Drove to that one, still seeing, but just through one eye, so I'm still struggling this whole time I'm driving. And I get to a doctor, he looks at it, doesn't find anything wrong, says it could be very much so be that I'm pregnant, that I'm having this issue. So I drove myself to the pharmacy to get the eye drops I needed, and by the time I came out, my eyes had become extremely sensitive to light. Like, it was even worse that I just couldn't open my eyes, and I had to call my husband and ask him to pick me up and take me home. And so, whoo, things are just happening. I'm like, what is going on? This is just not my life, and so many changes are happening already in my body, and this was only at 6 weeks. So yeah, crazy. So then also during that time, I started to have stomach pains, and I learned that during pregnancy it can very much so cause or digestive issues, and I already had those issues. I guess I did kind of have that problem before I got pregnant, and so that had gotten worse, where I constantly would feel pain throughout the day. Usually I would have to walk, or work would keep me occupied to not think about it so much, but it hurt. Whew, it hurt so bad. February 7th, I don't know what week this was, I just put February 7th, I started experiencing shortness of breath. I mean, walking just to my bathroom, I would start feeling like couldn't breathe. And this is before I really started knowing about COVID, the quarantine, all of that. I started experiencing really shortness of breath, and I just felt completely out of shape. I am out of shape. But I knew this was something totally different and more related to the pregnancy. And then the nausea started to increase around that same time, around February 7th, February 8th, and I became very fatigued, and again the stomach pains continued. And so that's kind of what February looked like for me, very much so. It was really hard because I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant until recently, probably the last few weeks or so. So going through all this and not having family, not in the same state as my family, and I didn't tell my family at the time because I wanted to wait and tell them in person. And then of course a lot of people in my job didn't know, and so I felt this pressure of that people would sense, oh, I don't care about work, or she's slacking, all these kind of things. But at the same time, I was feeling so crappy, I didn't care. I just don't feel good, and there's like nothing I can really do about it. My first doctor's appointment, they made me wait until I was about, I want to say 12 weeks before they would see me. Really wanted a black doctor, and so I wanted to wait for her, but at this specific hospital slash clinic, they only see people when you're at this certain time period. So I want to say it's about 12 weeks. They wouldn't see you unless you were at least 12 weeks pregnant. And so which for me wasn't going to be till the first week of March. So I'm experiencing all these things through February, just feeling really lonely, just very drained. And finally I got to go in for my first doctor's appointment and see my baby, and that was just so amazing. Calvin has been so excited and so encouraging. Other changes that I experienced during this pregnancy was that I started to have allergies and a sinus infection. Originally growing up in St. Louis, I didn't have allergies. Moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I had allergies literally every month. Like, it would get better, get worse, get better, get worse, get better, get worse, that in that order. When I moved here and I was pregnant, it had amplified. So usually I would experience pressure, you know, you're hitting all the pressure up in here, maybe some drainage, a little bit of a sore throat, and then lastly I would usually get some type of ear infection where I just couldn't hear out of either one or two or sometimes even both ears. But during this pregnancy so far, when I got a really bad sinus infection, I had all of that, but what was really different was that my throat became very sore, enough that I lost my voice for about 2 weeks or so, maybe a little over 2 weeks. So that was just really scary because that was again when more information was coming out about COVID-19. And so I had went to the doctor like, hey, like, are you sure this is just a sinus infection? Can you check me for strep? Can you check me for this? Are you sure it isn't something else? I just wouldn't want to be naive and think, oh no, it's just sinus. But my doctor assured me multiple times, she said, I really just think this is a sinus infection. So right now they have me on a sinus medication, have a nasal spray. I found out I was anemic, so I'm taking iron pills, of course my prenatals, more B12, and a medication for my digestive system. And I think that's about it. So this is the most pills I've ever taken in my life. I hate taking pills, like I really do. But of course it's for my baby, so I'm trying to be consistent and suck it up. There are worse things. So yes, that's where I'm at right now. Then the quarantine happened. So that's been a new experience. Of course, I'm still very early on in my pregnancy. I have so many friends that have been delivering during this time, or they're planning to deliver really soon, which can be very scary. But it's also been very scary for me being early on, just because they tell you like you're at high risk for miscarriages during a certain window. And so I was just afraid, what if I get sick during this window and during this time period? I started to experience anxiety attacks, very slight ones, nothing too major, but very slight ones when I would go into a public area, whether it be the grocery store or I had to make a trip for work to Target to grab some things. This has been tough. This has been a tough one. But I'm still excited. I'm grateful for these doctor's appointments and that they're still continuing, even though my next appointment will actually be over video. Very interesting, curious to see what it's gonna look like. And then the next one will be my anatomy scan, where I'll find out what I'm having. So I'm just really looking forward to that one. And so I'm grateful that during this time period, I'm still having really joyful things to look forward to. Something else I'm really looking forward to is to be able to have a gender reveal. Me and Calvin had debated if we really wanted to find out the gender, or we wanted to wait until I actually have the baby, which I think is an amazing experience at the end, but having to wait that long is so long. We never really thought we were gonna have this huge party gender reveal that most people have, but we just thought something really intimate for the most part. But being that quarantine is happening, we're just trying to explore different virtual options, which I think is really good, that our family can still interact with us from home. So if you have ideas about virtual gender reveals, please let me know. I've been looking at a few, so I have some ideas, but I would love to hear from you. I would love to just hear more creative, unique ways to be able to celebrate. So I guess it's time for you guys to see where I'm at as far as my growth. How's my baby doing? See my baby bump? Let's go. Okay, so here's my bump. Bump from the side. Bump from the front. And I haven't really gained any weight, which the doctor recommended, because I'm 4'11". And the weight I'm at right now, they recommended that I maybe only gain 12 to 15 pounds altogether. And so I'm doing really good, because like I said, I haven't gained any weight during my first trimester, which the doctor suggested. And then from here, I should just be gradually, very lightly gaining weight over time. So I'm really hoping to hit that and be able to just do good and be able to be consistent and healthy during this time, because I am at high risk for, of course, high blood pressure and diabetes. So those are things I'm trying to prevent. Yeah, so that is me. That was a lot, but I'm grateful that you all are here with me. Please comment below if you have any questions. Again, advice on virtual gender reveal ideas, what you think the baby's gonna be. We won't find out until mid-May. I'm actually trying to push in and see if I can find out a little bit earlier, so I can find out right before Mother's Day, but we will see. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. Peace. Sincerely, Shalise.